listening to the Dr. No Show on WHITradio.org. Everybody, welcome to the Dr. No Show. Morning Buzz, our morning show here on WHITradio.org. I'm Mr. P. And with us once again, for I don't know how long, maybe this may be his last week, but hopefully not, Brandon Barris. So, Brandon, what's our top stories for today?
Well, in today's headline news, a car carrying 5 teenagers went airborne as it sped over railroad tracks early Sunday and crashed, killing the 18-year-old driver hours before his high school graduation and two of his passengers, the Highway State Patrol said. U.S. Ambassador to France Charles Rivkin took part in a mass parachute jump over the coast of Normandy on Sunday to mark the 68th anniversary of the Allied invasion of mainland Europe in the World War II. The pilot of Dana airplane that crashed into a densely populated neighborhood in Lagos, Nigeria, radioed that the plane was having trouble just minutes earlier, an airline official told CNN on Monday. And now on to what Mr. P is going to talk about today. Two new polls are showing a tight race into Wisconsin recall. Holder and Axelrod nearly engaged in White House fisticuffs, and Richard Dawson, Family Feud host, dies at 79. So, Mr. P, why don't we start with the Holder and Axelrod story?
Well, it seems like there was a fisticuff altercation in the White House. Daniel Axelrod, who's the chief political strategist for Obama, and the prosecutor attorney, our attorney general, were Eric Holden, were involved in a altercation over something Eric Holder said. He said something along the lines that Axelrod had said something about the I can't get this here, but it was something that was an exchange. It's between the two. Was incensed because he heard that Holder had told him that something was he was improperly influencing the Justice Department. So that was the story. Not very well presented here on Yahoo News. But also, there's a tight race in Wisconsin. Two public opinion polls released on Sunday show Wisconsin Republican Governor Scott Walker with a lead of 3 and 6 percentage points 2 days before the election. The election will be on Tuesday. They're trying to get this governor out, and the Democrats are trying to get this Republican governor out who's been a union buster, and they'd like to see him removed. It can be a forecaster of the Obama-Romney race in November. Everybody's looking at this, and it's a very close race. It could go either way. Depends on how many people actually come out and vote. If they get a big turnout, it might help the Democrats. Some analysts are calling the Wisconsin recall the second most important U.S. election of this year because, as I said before, it could indicate which way the political wind is blowing in the key battleground state of Wisconsin. So we'll have a report for you. We'll keep that you abreast on that. And also Richard Dawson, who was a favorite actor from Hogan's Heroes. He also was on the game show. Also, I forget the name of the game show right now, but he was very charismatic and charming, and he passed away at 79. Family Feud, Family Feud was the name of the game show. He was on that. He hosted that for many years, so he passed away at 79. So that's it, Brandon.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that Richard Dawson dies. There's been a couple of Family Feud hosts. The latest one is Steve Harvey. He's the one that's doing it now.
One committed suicide, I believe. The one before Richard Dawson, I forget his name, but he passed away also.
Right. Well, today in history, in 1944, the U.S. Fifth Army entered Rome, leading to the liberation of the city during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Today's birthdays, it is Angelina Jolie's birthday today.
Mm-hmm.
What a well-known actress. What a pretty actress.
Mm-hmm.
Her first movie was Cyborg 2. She starred in movies like Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad Pitt. And I think that's how they started dating after that movie, and eventually.
Right. Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I think Brad Pitt was married at the time to Jennifer Aniston.
Right. She also starred in movies like Lara Croft Tomb Raider,
Right.
which is a movie, book, video game, and also Playing by Heart, Pushing Tin. So yeah, she started a couple of movies. She was born in Los Angeles, so I guess she kind of was brought up into that stardom, and I guess that's how she got involved in it. And so now she is with Brad Pitt. She has 2 kids who are adopted from Cambodia and Ethiopia.
She has more than 2. They have about 5 or 6 that
Oh,
they've
really?
adopted, yeah.
Wow.
They have a pretty big brood.
I think Info Please needs to update because it just says they have 2
No,
kids
I
here
think
from
I think it's
Cambodia and
more.
Utopia.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie have a few kids.
Right.
Mr. P said.
I think they have more than 2.
Right. The President series that we've been doing here on WHIT Radio continues on, and today we're doing Theodore Roosevelt. He was the 26th President of the United States of America from 1901 to 1909. He is noted for his exuberant personality, range of interests and achievements, and his leadership of the progressive movement, as well as his cowboy persona and robust masculinity. He was a leader of the Republican Party and founder of the short-lived Progressive Bull Moose Party of 1912. Before becoming president, he held office at the city, state, and federal levels. Roosevelt's achievements as a naturalist, explorer, hunter, author, and soldier are as much part of his fame as any office he has held in politician.
It seems like I put Teddy Roosevelt up there, but Bob Dylan also wants to share the spotlight. And we all know that Bob Dylan last week, I don't know if we reported it or not, but was given a Congressional Medal of Honor for a civilian.
Oh, wow.
And that's the highest honor for a civilian that can be bestowed. So,
yeah, one of the
congratulations, Bob.
most famous things about Theodore Roosevelt was he was just 42 years old when he was sworn into the President of the United States in 1901, making him the youngest president ever.
Yeah.
He beat out the youngest elected president, John F. Kennedy,
Right.
by only 1 year.
Yeah.
And also, Roosevelt was only one of 3 sitting presidents to have won the Nobel Peace Prize,
Right.
the other 2 being Woodrow Wilson and Barack Obama, who is obviously now the President of the United States.
Incredible person, incredible personality. He was sickly as a child, but he overcame it just by force of will, and he became a very energy-oriented person, full of life, vitality. Teddy Roosevelt went down with the Rough Riders. He became famous down there with the Rough Riders, and then became president, and really was a force to be reckoned with.
Right. Well, the other series we're doing here on WHIT Radio is the country of the day. We've been doing Spain, Italy, and I decided today, you know what? Why don't we do the country that we live in? The United States of America. It's
USA.
the USA has a couple of abbreviated names: the United States, the U.S., the USA, America, and also the states. It's a federal constitutional republic comprising 50 states and a federal district. The country is situated mostly in central North America, where its 48 contiguous states and Washington, D.C., the capital district, lie between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, bordered by Canada to the north and Mexico to the south. And Mr. P, what I really like about the United States of America, and which I think everybody likes about it, it's free. You know, you have freedom of speech. You have,
Oh yeah.
It's
It's
just-
more than you like it. You love it.
Yeah, you love it, exactly,
It's
you
not-
know.
it's your
you have a
country.
few people that
It's your
complain
country.
about it. Right.
Yeah.
You have a few people that complain about what's going on today, but
Oh,
at an
yeah.
overall look at it, you know, you really have such
Yeah.
a
We're so
such a great
fortunate.
country. Right, exactly.
So fortunate to live here, one of the greatest countries in the world, if not the greatest, and very happy to live here, very proud to live here, and it's a great country.
Right, yeah. I don't think you're the only one that's happy. I think, you know,
Mhm.
half of the people that live here are so, you know, grateful that they have such a great country like this. And also what I like
Yeah.
about the United States is how many sports they have here. They have the Olympics. They have, baseball, basketball, football. You have everything.
Boxing,
And
tennis, soccer.
Yeah, exactly.
You have everything that you would want here in the United States, and has its problems. I'm not saying it doesn't.
Every country has their problems.
Yes, but it also has a big heart. It's helped numerous countries, and it's continuing to help numerous countries all over the world. Great humanitarian country. As I said before, and I've reiterated it. If it wasn't for the United States, we might be called the United States of Germany or something.
Right, yeah.
We didn't step into that war. Who knows what would happen? Is the history. People come here from all over the world just for the ability to realize their dreams, and the freedom of speech, the freedom of thought. And it's been it started out as an experiment, but it's been a great success overall.
Right. Well, if you always keep it tuned here on WHRT Radio, you can hear these series on the presidents and the country of the day with me and Mr. P. But a random fact today, Americans are responsible for generating roughly 20% of the garbage in the world. So we just finished talking about how fantastic America is, and now we're responsible for 20% of the garbage.
Well, that's because we're a consumer nation, and we buy more products than anywhere else in the world. I think we also consume 25% or 20% of all the energy in the world. So we're a great consumer nation. We are the engine that runs the world economy.
That's right. The 2012 NBA playoffs continued on yesterday as the Miami Heat played the Boston Celtics, and the Boston Celtics really needing to win that game.
Absolutely.
And fortunately, they did, 93-91 in OT. The series is now tied 2-2. Game 5 will be on Miami on Tuesday, and that's going to be rough for the Celtics to go into Miami and beat them in their own house. So, we'll see if the Celtics can.
They won in overtime yesterday.
Yeah,
LeBron
they won in overtime.
Fouled out at the end, and I think Miami won one game in overtime or two games in overtime. I'm not sure. So it's a very competitive series, and who knows when Bosch is going to return. So I really don't. Very interesting. And tonight the Spurs play the Thunder.
Right.
Game 5, and that's a very competitive series also. So.
Right, and their series is also tied at 2 apiece.
Right.
So OKC looking to go into San Antonio tonight and beat them in their own house, as well as the Celtics on Tuesday. So both teams here really needing to go in there and get a win.
Yeah.
The NHL Stanley Cup, the Game 3 of the Stanley Cup tonight at 8 o'clock. The Kings lead the series 2-0.
Yeah, really. The Devils have to win tonight.
Yes.
They can't go down 3-0.
Yeah, if they go down 3-0, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. And I know they're gonna go back home even if they lose tonight. But still, going down 3-0.
I don't think they might not go back home. They've got 2 games in LA. So if they lose tonight and they lose the fourth game,
they're done.
They're not going back home.
Right, exactly. So the Devils really needing the win tonight, as me and Mr. P are saying.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. We'll see what they can do. The Mets. The New York Mets made history.
First place tie.
Right. The Mets made history. Johan Santana threw a no-hitter against the Cardinals, and the Mets won that game 8-0. And Mr. P, it wasn't just against any team. It was against the Cardinals.
World champs.
Right, the world champs.
Right.
They're supposedly the most powerful team. Their lineup is, fantastic. And, Johan Santana threw a no-hitter against them.
Yes, and I really was listening to some of the people call in, and they were saying it was really not a no-hitter because the ump blew one call, and Carlos Beltran should have got a hit. That's garbage,
Johan Santana completely deserved that no-hitter.
He deserved that no-hitter. It was a bang-bang play, If you look on replay, obviously the ump blew the call, but, you can't get down on the ump and too much on that. And
I think those callers were Cardinal fans.
Yeah, and I read even in the newspapers in St. Louis they were putting an asterisk next to the no-hitter, which is nonsense. You know, a lot of teams and a lot of in a lot of situations have gotten favorable calls,
Right.
and you know.
Well, I don't think Johan cares what the newspaper says.
I don't think
the
so, and
stat
I don't
sheet
think the
shows it.
Mets do either.
Right.
And Baxter sacrificed his body
Right,
to make that
exactly.
fantastic catch, which I saw the game, and I was glad I did. And you know, he's going to be out for about 6 weeks. He completely, you know, gave up his body to get the make the great catch and preserve Santana's no hitter. So we want to congratulate Santana and thank Baxter for his great catch.
Right. And one of the things I like about Johan is, you know, after when they had the interview after the game, I guess it was the post game interview. You know, Johan Santana, the first thing he said was he wants to thank his teammates,
Right.
and he wants to thank, you know, everybody for helping him out and all that stuff. You know, you see with some players, oh well, you know, I tried my pitches and I did this and that, and then they don't, you know, say thank you to the teammates to the end of the interview. But you know, the first thing he said was thank you to my teammates. So that's one thing I do respect about him.
Yes, we thank him, and we, you know, he, you know, one thing I don't like is when this guy, it's a monumental moment for the New York Mets, and this guy Turner, one of the utility players, comes in back of Santana and puts a pie in his face. I know they're doing it out of affection and things, but just come on, you know.
I think that's the third time this year that they did that.
It's a historic moment for the Mets. You know, don't do that. It just you know, belittles the whole situation. I was really upset with that.
Right. Yeah. I think, you know, when you have a walk off, maybe that's acceptable.
Yeah.
But when you're making history,
Yeah.
the Mets have never had a no hitter before them. For you to walk up in an interview or whatever it was to throw a pie in his face, I mean, you know, it's funny. He probably would have liked it then. But you know, the Mets management, when they're looking at interviews and they're looking, you know, down the line, what happened in that day, they're gonna say, oh well, Johan got a pie stuck in his face.
Yeah. So I really think that that was uncalled for. But congratulations to Johan Santana. Finally, the Mets, after 8,020 games, something like that, have their first no-hitter. And
who else to do it than Johan Santana?
Yeah, and they're playing well. So
they are playing well. They won yesterday.
Yep, they won
6-1.
yesterday. Neuenhouse got a 2-run homer, and they won 6-1.
Right. The Mets go for the 4-game sweep today at 1:10. Dylan G versus Kyle Loesch. The Yankees
I said 2-2. I said 2-2. They were going to split the series. I'm wrong already.
Yeah, they're going for the sweep tonight. Right. Today, actually, at 1:10. The Yankees, unfortunately, did not make history over the weekend, but they did win yesterday 5-1. And the Yankees start a 3-game series tonight against the Rays. So it's been a pretty good week for the New York Mets. Maybe not for the Devils. Maybe not for the Heat, but, you know, it's been a pretty good week in sports.
Yeah.
So you've been listening to the WHIT Radio Morning Buzz on WHITradio.org. Please keep it locked here with me and Mr. P. As I said, the best broadcasters in Hudson County. Please keep it locked here on WHIT Radio.